Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are here, that means you are just as obsessed with BTS as I am, and honestly, I would not have it any other way. Before anything else, if you are new here, please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because we literally never miss a moment when it comes to our boys, and today is a big one. Today we are diving deep into the BTS Festa Dinner 2.0 teaser, and I am telling you right now, there is something that has been living rent-free in my head ever since I first watched it, and that thing has everything to do with ParkJimin. Now I know what some of you might be thinking. You might be thinking, okay, another reaction video, another breakdown, another analysis. But I promise you, this one is different. This one is personal. Because what I saw in that teaser was not just a dinner table with 7 men who happen to be some of the most famous artists in the world. What I saw was a shift. A real, undeniable, deeply emotional shift. And the most fascinating part? Every single member felt it. You could see it on their faces. You could hear it in their voices. And if you are an army who has been following these men for years, truly following them, not just casually streaming their music but really paying attention to who they are as human beings, then you already know exactly what I am talking about. So grab your snacks, get comfortable, and let's get into it. This is going to be a long one, but I promise every single second is worth it. Let me start by setting the stage, because context matters enormously when it comes to BTS. We are not just talking about a group of guys sitting around having dinner. We are talking about 7 individuals who have shared their entire adult lives with each other and with millions of fans around the world. They have laughed together on camera, cried together on camera, and grown up together in ways that very few people on this planet can truly understand. The bond that exists within BTS is not manufactured for entertainment. It is real, it is complex, and it is something that has been tested and strengthened over more than a decade together. And then came the military service period. For Korean male citizens, mandatory military service is a requirement, and for BTS, this meant something that ARMY had been dreading for years, a period of separation. One by one, the members began enlisting. The group that had been inseparable, the group that had literally redefined what it means to be a K-pop act on the global stage, had to press pause. Not just on their careers, but on this deep, intense, daily connection they had built with one another over years of constant togetherness. Now I want you to really sit with that for a moment. These are men who spent years living together, traveling together, performing together, crying together backstage, celebrating together in hotel rooms at 3 a.m. They knew each other's schedules, each other's habits, each other's moods. And then suddenly, that was gone. Replaced by separate barracks, separate responsibilities, separate journeys into a very different kind of adulthood. So when they came back, when the members started completing their service and the prospect of BTS reuniting became real again, the energy was always going to be different. How could it not be? These are not the same young men who first stood on a stage together years ago. They are fully formed adults now, each with their own individual experiences, their own growth, their own private reckonings with who they are and who they want to be. And ParkJimin specifically went through something during his time away that I think fundamentally changed him in ways we are only just beginning to see. Let me talk about what we actually see and hear in the Festa Dinner 2.0 teaser, because the content is rich and every line matters. One of the members opens by saying something that immediately hit me in the chest. He says something along the lines of, "It's been a while since we celebrated Festa together as a group." Think about that. Just that sentence alone. Festa, their anniversary celebration, is one of the most sacred traditions in BTS and ARMY culture. It is the time every year when they reflect on their journey, express their love for each other and for their fans, and acknowledge how far they have come. And for there to be a gap in that celebration, for one of them to openly acknowledge that it has been a long time, that is not a casual observation. That is an emotional reckoning. And then someone throws in a lighthearted comment, something playful, asking if they should just fight it out. And the whole table erupts. You can hear the laughter, you can feel the comfort, that old familiar dynamic snapping back into place like a rubber band. This is what they do. This is who they are. Even in moments of vulnerability, even when the weight of time and change is sitting right there on the table with them, they reach for humor. They reach for each other. But then the tone shifts. one of the members, and the emotional weight of the statement suggests someone with that particular philosophical depth, says something that stopped me completely. He talks about how when ARMY sang Arirang together, something inside him moved. For those who may not know, Arirang is one of the most beloved and iconic traditional Korean folk songs. It is a song of longing, of separation, of the ache of being apart from someone or something you love. The fact that ARMY singing this song together is specifically called out as a meaningful moment is not an accident. It is deeply intentional and deeply felt. And then comes the line that I have been turning over in my mind ever since I first heard it. One of the members says, "We have each changed as individuals, but when we gather together, the changes we have each gone through feel like they are unified within the team." I need you to understand how significant that statement is. Because what he is describing is not just growth. He is describing a kind of alchemy. The idea that they can go away, each become more fully themselves, each walk their own paths and have their own private transformations, and then come back together and find that all of those individual changes somehow strengthen rather than fracture the collective. That is extraordinary. That is not something most groups, most families, even, are able to achieve. And immediately, another member responds, "Exactly right." Just those two simple words. But the weight behind them. The confirmation. The recognition. And then another voice, "This is because we are aiming to work together again after such a long time." There it is. There is the thing underneath all of it. The reason this dinner is not just a celebration but a reunion in the deepest possible sense of the word. They are not just sitting around reminiscing. They are rebuilding. They are recalibrating. They are figuring out, together, in real time, what it means to be BTS again, not the BTS of the past, but a new version that contains all of their individual growth while still honoring everything they have always been to each other. And then comes the moment. The moment that started everything. One of the members turns to Jimin and says, "Try and see how it feels to work with me again." And Jimin's response? "Run." Just one word. But the way it was delivered, the energy behind it, the immediacy of it, the sheer enthusiasm, it was enough to send the whole table into a chorus of BTS, that felt like a battle cry and a love declaration all at once. Now why does this matter so much? Why is this the moment I keep coming back to? Because if you have been paying attention to Jimin's journey over the past few years, you know that this kind of immediate, unguarded, explosive enthusiasm is not something he has always worn so openly. Jimin has always been one of the most emotionally expressive members of BTS, yes. But there is a difference between performance expressiveness and raw, unfiltered emotional availability. And what we saw in that moment was the latter. Let me talk about Jimin specifically, because I think his individual journey during this period of separation deserves its own dedicated conversation. When Jimin released his solo work, when he stepped forward as an individual artist outside of the BTS umbrella, something happened. Something that I think even some longtime ARMY did not fully anticipate. He did not just release music. He revealed himself. He peeled back layers of performance and polish and revealed something underneath that was rawer and more vulnerable and more genuinely him than perhaps anything he had ever shown before. His artistry during this period reached a new level, and I want to be careful here because I am not just talking about technical skill, which has always been exceptional, but about emotional truth. He seemed less concerned with perfection and more committed to authenticity. Less focused on what the performance should look like and more focused on what it actually felt like to be him, in that moment, in that skin. Military service, for many Korean men, is a period of profound personal growth. You are stripped of your usual context. Your usual support systems. Your usual routines and comforts. You are placed in a structured environment that demands discipline, humility, and a kind of self-reliance that is different from anything you have experienced before. For someone like Jimin, who has existed in the spotlight since his teenage years, who has built his entire adult identity within the context of BTS and ARMY, that kind of solitude and restructuring can be genuinely transformative. And I believe that is exactly what happened. I believe Jimin came back from his service period having met himself in a new way. Having confronted himself without the buffer of performance or the comfort of the group. And what he found there, what he brought back with him, is something you can see in his eyes in that teaser. Something more settled. More certain. More at peace. The TikTok creator who posted this content puts it beautifully. She says that she is so happy to see them at this point, and that in the past they were afraid of losing their individual identities, afraid that being too focused on being a group would leave no room for them to grow as individuals. That they worried about becoming swallowed by the collective at the expense of the personal. And she is right. This was a real tension that BTS navigated, especially in the years leading up to their hiatus and individual activities. The question of how to be both a unit and an individual. How to serve the group without losing yourself. How to give everything to something collective while also protecting the private, personal core of who you are. But she goes on to say something that I think is the most important observation of all. She says that now, they can have both. That they are more confident in themselves, more secure in their individual identities, more comfortable with who they are as separate people, and that security, paradoxically, makes them better together. This is the thing that sometimes gets lost in fan discourse. The truth is that healthy individuality does not threaten collective unity. It strengthens it. When each person in a group is genuinely secure in who they are, they do not need the group to define them, which means they can give to the group from a place of abundance rather than need. They can collaborate without fear. They can celebrate each other without jealousy. They can be honest with each other without defensiveness. And that is exactly what we are seeing at this dinner table. Let me zoom out for a second and talk about what BTS Festa means in the broader context of ARMY culture. Festa is BTS's annual celebration of their debut anniversary. Every year, around the time of their debut date, BTS releases a series of content celebrating the anniversary: photos, videos, behind-the-scenes footage, and the famous Festa dinner, where the members sit around a table and talk openly about the past year, their feelings, their growth, and their hopes for the future. Over the years, the Festa dinner has become one of the most emotionally significant pieces of BTS content that exists. It is the place where walls come down. Where the carefully managed public personas soften and the real people underneath become visible. Fans have seen the members cry at this table. Laugh until they could not breathe. Say things to each other that felt like they had been building for years. Confess fears and vulnerabilities and loves that they might not have been able to express in any other context. So the return of the Festa dinner, and specifically the framing of this as Festa Dinner 2.0, suggesting a new chapter, a new era, a version that contains everything that came before but is also something different, is enormous. It is not just content. It is a signal. A marker. A declaration that something is beginning. And the fact that the teaser gives us even just a few moments, a few lines of dialogue, a few glimpses of 7 faces around a table, and that those few moments contain this much emotional weight, tells you everything about what the full dinner is likely to contain. Now I want to talk about the broader theme that seems to be running through everything BTS has been doing lately, because I think it connects directly to what we are seeing in this teaser, and it connects very directly to what is different about Jimin specifically. That theme is the integration of who you were with who you have become. This is actually one of the most psychologically complex and emotionally difficult tasks that human beings face. Most of us, when we change significantly, have a tendency to either romanticize the past version of ourselves or completely reject it. We either get stuck in nostalgia, wishing we could go back to who we were before everything got complicated, or we overcorrect, disavowing our former selves as naive or unformed, trying to build a new identity that has no roots in what came before. What BTS seems to be doing is a third option. They are integrating. They are saying, all of it counts. The young men who debuted together count. The years of struggle count. The individual journeys each of them has taken count. The changes, the growth, the fears, the breakthroughs, all of it counts. And rather than choosing between the past and the present, they are choosing to hold both. For Jimin, specifically, I think this integration is particularly visible not just in the Festa dinner teaser, but in the way he has been carrying himself generally in recent appearances. There is a groundedness to him now that I do not think was always there. Not because he was not grounded before, he has always had an extraordinary quality of presence, but because the nature of that groundedness has shifted. It feels less effortful now. Less like something he is reaching for and more like something he has arrived at. The younger Jimin was spectacular in every sense of the word. His performances were jaw-dropping. His emotional expressiveness was almost painful to witness in its intensity and beauty. But underneath all of that, if you were watching closely, if you were paying attention the way that dedicated fans pay attention, you could sometimes catch a flicker of something uncertain. Something still searching. Something still in the process of becoming. That flicker is gone now. Or at least, it has transformed into something else. Something more settled. More whole. And I think this is exactly what his fellow members sensed at that dinner table. When one of them turned to Jimin and said, "Try and see how it feels to work with me again," and Jimin responded with that immediate, full-throated, completely unguarded run. They felt it. They felt the difference. They recognized something in him that maybe they had been waiting for, hoping for, without fully being able to articulate what it was they were hoping to find. Because here is the thing about people who are deeply connected to each other, they do not just see the person in front of them. They carry an image of that person built from hundreds of shared memories, thousands of shared moments, a whole history of knowing each other in all kinds of circumstances. And when that person changes, really changes, in a deep and fundamental way, the people who love them most can feel it immediately. Before anything is said. Before any formal announcement is made. They just know. That is what I saw in the reactions around that table when Jimin spoke. That recognition. That quiet joy of seeing someone you love arrive at a place you always hoped they would reach. I also want to take a moment to appreciate the specific word that Jimin chose. Because run is not just a word. For BTS and for ARMY, Run BTS carries enormous significance. It is their variety show. It is a symbol of their playfulness, their silliness, their willingness to be fully and uninhibitedly themselves without the pressure of performance or image management. When Jimin said run, when the whole table echoed BTS in response, they were not just picking an activity. They were invoking something. A spirit. A shorthand for everything that is most joyful and free and true about who they are together. The fact that Jimin was the one to say it first, with that particular energy, to me, that is everything. Let me close by talking about what this means for ARMY, because we are part of this story too. We are not just passive observers. BTS has made that very clear over and over again across their entire career. ARMY is woven into the fabric of what BTS is. The relationship between the group and their fandom is one of the most genuinely mutual, genuinely reciprocal artist-fan relationships that exists in the history of popular music. And so when BTS goes through something, when they separate and grow individually and come back together changed, ARMY goes through something too. We have been waiting. We have been holding space. We have been streaming their solo work and supporting their individual journeys and trying to trust that all of this separation was leading somewhere beautiful. And the Festa Dinner 2.0 teaser feels like the first real confirmation that it is. That the wait was worth it. That what is coming, this new chapter, this BTS 2.0, is going to contain everything we loved about them before and something new that we have not even fully imagined yet. The image of 7 men around a dinner table, laughing and reflecting and saying things like, "We have changed individually but come together as a unified team," that image is everything. It is a promise. It is an answer to a prayer that millions of people have been holding quietly in their hearts for years. So what is different about Jimin in this teaser? Everything. And nothing. He is still ParkJimin. Still the one who makes every room lighter and every performance more alive. Still the one whose emotional expressiveness can bring you to tears and send you into fits of laughter sometimes in the same 60 seconds. Still the one who, when he says one word, just one word, can make everyone around him feel like they are exactly where they are supposed to be. But he is also someone new. Someone who has met himself more fully. Someone who has been alone with himself in ways that required honesty and courage and a kind of quiet reckoning. Someone who has come through that aloneness and arrived on the other side more whole, more settled, more unambiguously himself. And his members felt it. And we felt it. And I believe that this new version of Jimin, this Jimin who can look his bandmate in the eyes and say run with that particular quality of complete, uncomplicated, fully present joy, is going to give us some of the most extraordinary work of his already extraordinary career. I cannot wait. I genuinely cannot wait. Thank you so much for watching. If this video resonated with you, please leave a comment below. I want to know what you noticed, what you felt, what you are most looking forward to as BTS enters this new chapter. And if you are not subscribed yet, what are you doing? Get in here. This is where we love BTS deeply and analyze them thoroughly and feel all the feelings together. Until next time, take care of yourselves, stay well, and as always, purple you. Purple heart.